Hello, my name is Matthias Cavodi. I'd like to welcome you guys to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the Marvel Knights Black Panther series that came out in 1998. We're going to cover the first 12 issues that were written by Christopher Priest, and the art is done, at least in the first couple of issues, by Mark Teixeira. He does a fantastic job in illustrating this character. He really captures the spirit of Black Panther, and his art style really accommodates very well with the story that Christopher Priest is trying to tell. Not as well as some of the artists that we're going to see later on in the last couple of issues. At least for me, they sort of hurt the story because it's a very abrupt change of style of illustration and coloring and the whole 9 yards. The only other problem that I have, because the story itself, it's really good. Even though I think that the next 12 issues, they do a lot better job, is that Christopher Priest, he tries to write a really complicated story. It's pretty convoluted, and it's not linear. It goes back and forth all the time, so it gets a little bit confusing. So I found that to be a little bit irritating. But outside of that, Priest does a really good job in really building up the Black Panther mythology, adding characters to the Black Panther side of the Marvel Universe. There he really nails it. And in the first page, we get the introduction of a new character, Everett K. Ross, who is like the government liaison of Black Panther, who's the head of state to the United States government. So he's like the main contact between both of the governments. And in this case, he's trying to accommodate Black Panther, who has arrived to the United States to investigate a crime. And for some reason, I think this is on purpose. He looks a lot like Michael J. Fox in the way he acts. He's sort of like the comic relief of the series. He's a pretty fun character in general, so at least I really enjoy it. So Black Panther arrives to New York City. Also, we have the introduction. I'm not 100% sure because I'm no Black Panther expert, but I think this is the first time we see Ladora Milaje. We have Nakia and Okoye, his personal bodyguards. Here we have T'Challa. He's arrived to New York City to investigate a murder of a very young girl that was a beneficiary of a Wakandan foundation. And within that particular foundation, there's all kinds of corruption. The money's not being spent the way it should be. It's going to places it shouldn't go. So T'Challa has come to New York City to investigate because this is really tarnishing the image of Wakanda around the world, which is a country that has always been very secretive, but always tried to project a good image. So we have Black Panther having to deal in the first story with some local gangs. Like the way they illustrate Black Panther and the coloring, they did a really good job. They really killed it there. So here's what I was telling you guys about the whole question of the young girl and the Wakandan Foundation. And this is just the tip of an iceberg of a larger conspiracy that we're going to get into, that, as I said before, it gets like more and more complicated and convoluted, but it's a fun ride at least. So the story really starts off with conflicts with many groups of refugees that are arriving on Wakandan's soil. Wakanda has always been more like a isolationist type of country. They always kept them themselves. So the Wakandan population is not too happy with all these refugees. And amongst those refugees, they're fighting between themselves. So here we have Black Panther and the Dora Milaje trying to quell the violence on the border. So the thing is, he discovers and finds out this whole question with the foundation in the United States. So in the middle of this turmoil, he decides to leave Wakanda and investigate what's going on in the United States, because he thinks everything's connected and everything's part of a larger conspiracy that's really looming large on the horizon that's going to really destabilize Wakanda. So he has to go and resolve all this question. And at the end of issue number 1, we have the introduction of Mephisto. So like when you read issue number 1, it's like goes back and forth all over the place. It's pretty confusing. Like everything does fall into place and everything's explained, but like you finish issue number 1, you're like, what the hell? So all the dialogues between Mephisto and Everett K. Ross, because Mephisto is like taking Everett K. Ross hostage in his apartment, are just hilarious. So Black Panther's investigating, getting into some trouble in New York City, which we're going to skip over because we're in. And at the beginning of issue number 3, we have the introduction of Achme. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. He's the main villain, one of the main villains of this first big story arc. He's the one that's behind the violence with the refugees on the Wakandan border. It's sort of implied that the conflicts that where these guys are coming from, he also instigated those conflicts. He's also the guy behind the whole question of what's going on in New York City with the Foundation and the killing and the death of this young girl, because what he's trying to do is to get Black Panther away from Wakanda so he can make his power move to take over the country. In working with another villain that we're going to get introduced further down the line. Thing is, Achbe makes a deal with Mephisto to give Black Panther's soul to Mephisto and keep him away from Wakanda and damn his soul for the rest of eternity. So, let's skip all over this. Also, we get like Christopher Priest introduces a ton of new characters into the Black Panther mythos. We are introduced to the Dogs of War. These guys, they look like white Black Panthers. These guys are Wakandan secret police that we used to work for T'Chaka. And the thing is, they were very heavy-handed and had their hands in a lot of messed up stuff. So when Black Panther became the ruler of Wakanda, he disbanded the secret police. So they became like this renegade paramilitary division unit that seemed to have been operating within New York City. So they attacked Black Panther, and we get the introduction of the leader of the Dogs of War. He's called the White Wolf. I can't remember the real name of this guy. But the thing is, this guy grew up actually with T'Challa. He's sort of like his because he was adopted by Black Panther's stepmother. So they're sort of like brothers. So there's like this Thor-Loki relationship between both of these guys. I think it's pretty complicated. So thing is, he tells Black Panther's like, can we go back to Wakanda? Can we serve our country? We have no mission. I want to work with you, please. And Black Panther's like not on board with this guy because he knows he's done a ton of messed up stuff. So during this time, Achbe is able to take over Wakanda. Black Panther jumps in to save his buddy Everett K. Ross and battle against Mephisto. The battle with Mephisto is really cool. And also we're presented to, because Mephisto tries to take Black Panther's soul, but he comes across and has to deal with the Panther God. Like, Mephisto wasn't aware of the Panther God, and he gets his ass totally kicked. Black Panther's able to defeat him. In issue number 6, we have Black Panther having to go up against Kraven, who's also gets thrown into the mix of this gigantic conspiracy. And actually, Kraven defeats Black Panther in hand-to-hand combat. That's no small feat. Like, Kraven's always a pretty dangerous character when battling against characters that are fighters and stuff like that. So, but this is all, as I said before, everything's really complicated in the way he tells the story. Because before Kraven pops up, at the hotel where Black Panther was, there was this gala, this dance. Hundreds upon hundreds of people arrived, African Americans, to celebrate the presence of this great black superhero. Like, and I can't find the pages where this is illustrated, but this whole situation with all these people in the streets that have gone to see Black Panther was also orchestrated by Achbe because he has plans of doing this monumental terrorist attack. So the Avengers arrived trying to deal with the situation. They actually stopped Black Panther from killing Kraven, which I found pretty hilarious. So Black Panther is able to find the bomb. It's tied to a ex-girlfriend of his. And while chaos ensues with the whole situation, because people find out about this, there's a bomb, people are running, there's a stampede of people left and right. Achme informs the Avengers that Black Panther's always been spying on them since day one. He didn't trust his own teammates. This really causes a fracture between Black Panther and the Avengers. Like, they were totally not cool with the situation. Here's what I was telling you: the change in artist and coloring, the tone of the series just totally changes. And it feels like from going from dark and gritty, sort of grounded series into more like comic book and fantastic stuff, at least for me, it's a little bit jarring, and it hurts the storytelling. Like, here we have Black Panther learning more about the conspiracy, the origins of the White Wolf, and stuff like that. And like, we get to Wakanda and we have these gigantic Wakandan panther robots that just feel so out of place compared to what we were saying previously at the beginning of the series, being it's the same writer. So Black Panther returns to Wakanda. Like, we're going to blast through this because I don't want to make... And like, we get this weird doomsday device by Achbe that just, it's totally out of place than what we got at the beginning of the series. Like, it just feels really weird. Black Panther is able to escape. He's able to defeat Achbe. He's able to also, he gets into a battle with White Wolf, because I don't know if I mentioned previously, White Wolf and Achbe were working together the whole time. This whole crazy conspiracy to get him out of Wakanda into New York City was orchestrated with both of them as a big power move to get White Wolf wanted to get back to Wakanda and the place of power. So we have this final battle between Black Panther and the White Wolf, where obviously Black Panther comes out on top. T'Challa's stepmom also was sort of in on this conspiracy, but we don't know. He doesn't know that. And that's the end of the first story arc. So the first 12 issues are pretty solid, pretty convoluted, yes. Complicated, yes. But it's a fun story. The only thing I really didn't like is the change of art style and tone of the series at first. And the other 12 issues after that, this are really good. So see you guys next time.